What if you could learn a new language, not by memorizing boring flashcards, but just by studying a subject you already love, like history or science? Well, that's the big promise of a hugely popular educational method called CILL. It's often sold as the next big thing in learning.
But here's the question we're asking today. Is this approach really a revolution in education, or is all that hype maybe hiding a different story? Let's dig in and find out.
Because what if I told you that this so-called revolution isn't new at all? I mean, one of our sources just puts it out there, plain and simple. There is nothing very new about CILL. To really get what that means, we need to look back, way, way back. The basic idea of learning a subject in a different language, it's ancient. I mean, think about it. We're talking 5,000 years ago, Akkadians were using the local language for instruction in Sumeria. Fast forward to ancient Rome, and the elites knew it was a huge advantage to have their kids educated in Greek. And much more recently, in the 1960s, Canada's famous French-English immersion programs were built on this very same principle.
So yeah, we're basically looking at a 5,000-year-old idea that's been repackaged for today. But what exactly is in this new package? Let's get to a clear definition. All right, Section 2, Defining CLIL. It's time to cut through all the jargon and get to the core of what this method is all about.
Okay, so what does CILL actually stand for? It's Content and Language Integrated Learning. And that phrase dual-focused is absolutely key. The goal isn't just to learn biology. Nope, it's to learn biology in English, so that understanding the subject actually helps your language skills. And as your language skills get better, you understand the subject even more. They feed each other.
Now here's where things can get a little messy. See, CLIL is just one name for this idea. Depending on where you are or what the focus is, it might be called CBI or EMI or LAC. It's a whole alphabet soup of acronyms. It is a lot to keep track of.
Thankfully, as one of our sources says, here, for the sake of sanity, we will refer to CLIL. And honestly, I think we can all get behind that sentiment. So for the rest of this, CLIL it is.
Okay, Section 3, Inside the Classroom. So how does all this theory actually work in practice? And who are its biggest champions out there in the real world?
The really crucial difference is in how you learn. Traditional methods often have you memorizing endless grammar rules and vocabulary lists. CLIL is all about language acquisition, and that's the process of picking up a language naturally, kind of like how a child does, by using it as a tool to get something done or to understand a real-world subject. And it all really boils down to these three core principles. First up, motivation. If you're passionate about history, learning about it in English suddenly makes English feel super relevant to you. Second, integration. The language isn't just another class you go to. It's woven into the very fabric of the curriculum. And third, real communication. You're not just practicing made-up dialogues, you're using the language to debate a real concept or to label a scientific diagram.
It all sounds pretty great in theory, doesn't it? But who are the major institutions that are really pushing this approach forward on a massive scale?
Let's start with a number, 24. That's how many official languages there are in the European Union. Instantly, you can just feel the scale of the communication challenge they are dealing with every single day. Now, let's put a price tag on that challenge. The EU spends over 1 billion euros every single year just on translation and interpretation. So when you see that number, it's really no surprise that they are a huge supporter of any program that helps promote multilingualism. And all of that institutional support, well, it's having a massive real-world impact. Just look at this. The number of university degrees in Europe taught in English skyrocketed from almost 0 in 2009 to nearly 3,000 just 8 years later. That is a staggering rate of change, and it's driven in large part by this push for multilingualism. But of course, it's not all smooth sailing. Like with any major educational shift, there is a big debate to be had. So let's take a balanced look at the arguments, both for and against CLIL. So what's the case for CLIL? Well, proponents will tell you it's perfectly built for our modern interconnected world. They say it boosts student motivation by making language feel relevant, it broadens cultural horizons, and on a really practical level, it can open doors to international qualifications. But the case against CLIL is just as strong. The biggest criticism? There's really no solid empirical proof that it actually works better than traditional methods.
And then you get into these huge practical problems, like finding a teacher who is an expert in both physics and English. That's incredibly difficult. And this all leads to a core conflict. Do you end up sacrificing a deep understanding of the subject for the sake of the language? Or is it the other way around?
Which brings us to our final section, CLIL's future. So, where does all this debate leave us? What does the future hold for this pretty contested methodology?
Our source material really captures the core challenge perfectly with this quote. CLIL will remain a borderline or parallel methodology until the needs of teachers are met. What that's basically saying is, without properly trained and supported teachers, this whole idea just can't reach its full potential. And yet, here's the central paradox of it all. Despite all those valid criticisms and the very real practical hurdles, CLIL programs are just exploding in popularity all across the globe. The demand is undeniable, even if the implementation is, well, really challenging.
So, we're left with this crucial question. Is CILL truly the future of education, perfectly suited for our interconnected world? Or is it a brilliant idea that, in reality, we just aren't equipped to deliver on a mass scale? The answer to that is probably going to shape the classrooms of tomorrow.